Hey everyone, hope you're all staying safe and healthy, working from home and stuff like that. Thought I would do something a little different. I wanted to do a live stream. I'm in my self-quarantine here, and I thought it would be fun to watch the duel video and then just explain to you guys everything that was fake or scripted, and then all the stuff that was real. And I wanted to do it live because it's a little more, I don't know, it's a little more fun when there's some interaction here. So hopefully this all works. I know my next video, I promised to do all the financials of the Megabots stuff. But I realized it probably makes more sense to do this first. I think if I have set this all up correctly, it should be streaming on our Facebook, our YouTube, our Twitch, and I think also on Periscope. So just a little, also I've got all this merchandise, all these boxes here are extra merchandise that still needs to be shipped out. I'm not gonna make any more, but there's still just a bunch of t-shirts. I'm doing a special coupon code for these times. Coupon code quarantine, and you can get 50% off. And then I'll literally go grab your t-shirt out of this thing and throw it in a bag, and hopefully the postal system still works. Who knows? Yeah, coupon code quarantine. There's, I don't know, t-shirts and posters and stuff like that. Some people have asked why, if parts of it were fake and scripted, why go against it at first? We were under an NDA with Pseudobashi, so this most people don't realize we actually just couldn't even talk about a lot of stuff that happened. And so there's no entity left. Megabots doesn't exist anymore as a C Corp, and so there is no NDA anymore. So that's we just couldn't say a lot of stuff, which was really frustrating. And most people don't realize that. They were just well, you're just lying to people, but we agreed to do all joint announcements. And we just couldn't come to agreement on a lot of stuff. So, hope you're all enjoying the quarantine and stuff like that. What else before we get into it? Oh, I should just a little bit of backstory. If you, probably everybody here has seen the duel, I'm guessing, but maybe if you're just coming across this YouTube video, basically I'm one of the guys who started Megabots, which did the USA versus Japan giant robot duel. I don't know. The story's really long. Just go to our YouTube channel. Basically, we raised some venture capital money. We did a Kickstarter. We tried to create a giant fighting robot sports league. We fought Japan. Blah 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 blah. It went bankrupt. People were some people were disappointed and thought we were scammers and stuff like that. So. What else? Oh, the whole backstory is actually really interesting. The lead up to the fight. I mean, so many crazy things happened. The company actually went bankrupt multiple times, and I would love to just do a podcast. If anybody has a pretty big audience on their podcast, preferably a video podcast, I will go on it and we can just talk for an hour or something. It takes about an hour to tell the whole story. But it's a pretty crazy story. As long as I get to keep the footage and I can repost it on our YouTube channel, that'd be awesome. So if you have a podcast, email fanmail at megabots.com. Fanmail at megabots.com, yeah. And then and we'll do it up. Preferably, I guess you have to be in California, so hopefully you're in California. What are you going to do now? Well, I am hiding from the coronavirus right now. But I'm like mostly like a real estate guy, which I guess people don't realize at this point. I just like buy apartment buildings and collect rent, basically. But yeah, let's just get started. So hopefully I can use this streaming software.
It's the dawn of a new age. For millennia, mankind has tested their limits with fists and gloves. In the world's oldest sport, fighting. Our world has been forged by the hammer of technological progress.
So this is just part of the hype reel to get people super excited about it.
What the future would hold.
By the way, if my audio levels are bad, like let me know because I can sort of tweak them.
Come to life.
If my microphone's too low or the video
We've imagined
audio is too low.
giant machines built in our
Cool.
image.
I'm seeing that audio is fine.
Technology is finally here. The age
Video is
of
maybe a little
giant
quiet.
Fighting robots has arrived. Two teams, a world apart, are about to do battle. It's time for the giant robot duel.
Okay, so I do want to comment about just like, I know a lot of people were like, oh, you like way overhyped this, and then the robots ended up being like slow and dumb or, you know, whatever. When we kind of got into the situation where like, we got all this press and stuff like that, and like reporters would come to us and they'd do, you know, stories on us. But when a journalist or a reporter comes to you and they stick a microphone in your face and they're like, so, is the robot fight gonna be like super cool or not? And you're like, you basically you cannot say like, you know, it's like the first time we're doing this, like who knows if it's even gonna work or not. Like keep your expectations really low. If you say that kind of stuff, people just like don't get hyped, they don't follow, and then like you haven't built a business. Unfortunately, like in the entertainment business, you just have to build as large of an audience as you can, and that's how you basically like all your brand deals, all your sponsorships are just based on how many eyeballs you can get. So how big your fan base is, and so like if you don't have enough people that are like super psyched to watch your content, you can't command enough sponsorship dollars to even like sustain the business in the first place. So that was kind of the reason. It's just like it's really hard to like be on stage at a trade show where someone's paid you to like talk about how awesome it's going to be and then be like, oh, it's not going to be that awesome. Just like calm down. Oh, a note about the Philippines. Somebody on Facebook is commenting about the Philippines, which is like hilarious. You have a lot of fans here in the Philippines. The reason we have a lot of fans in the Philippines is because we very early on had no idea how to like allocate Facebook ad spend, and we were like, oh, we just need to get the message out, so we're going to dump a bunch of this like venture capital money into ad spend. And so we took something like $50,000 and just like poured it into Facebook ads, but we didn't geolocate it at all. We just like let the Facebook algorithm like just decide where you can find the cheapest page likes. And so like the algorithm tries to take your amount of budget and whatever target you ask it to do, which in our case was just like build a fan base, it decided that like Philippines is the easiest like dollars per page like to just like allocate all the ad impressions. And so that's why we just have I think like half or like a quarter of all of our Facebook page likes are just all in the Philippines, which is funny. It's super low engagement from there, but yeah, we basically just, I don't know, we were learning and we made mistakes. So just one example of things not to do, maybe, I don't know.
Welcome to the steel mill. So we are inside this venue in Japan, originally designed to pour steel, and now we are here to break it. Hi again, everybody. I'm Mike Goldberg. Expect the unexpected. What you will see today is the first of its kind. My partner, robotics expert, Sarah Naderi, what will we see in these duels?
These are the largest, heaviest combat robots on Earth. Imagine being able to move around a car as if it was nothing.
The first giant robot in Japan, Karatas. The hit will duel against not one, but two Megabots from Team USA. And for more on the strategies, we check in with the third member of our broadcast team, Mari Takahashi.
Okay, so note, I just want to talk about location, because there's a whole interesting story about location. We tried to, I don't even know how to say this, but like, when we challenged Karatas and they responded and they're like, yeah, just organize the duel, we'll be there. Later on, they basically said, like we told them we want the duel to be in the US because, like, it's way cheaper to do video production there. We have all of our resources here, blah, blah, blah. And they essentially, like, refused to come to the US. We had, like, multiple filming locations in California, like, scoped out. And then they were just like, yeah, we just won't do it there. And we asked them why. And then they were like, well, we think that the US Customs is going to, like, seize our robot and not give it back to us. And so we were like, well, what if we paid you? I think we offered them up to $400,000 to come to the US to do the duel, cover all their shipping, everything like that, and they still refused. I think there was a lot of doubt on their side about, like, if this was even going to happen or not. So, like, I don't really blame them for their decisions. You know, from their perspective, we're just like some crazy dudes who came out of nowhere and suddenly raised a bunch of money to do this fight. And they were probably just, like, very suspicious if, like, we would, like, trick them into coming and then, like, put them on some goofy reality show or something like that. So I think there just wasn't a lot of, like, trust between the two parties throughout the negotiations. One person on YouTube asked how big was the Karatas company. It's like 3 people, I think. Like, they kind of have, like, it's not like a real company in what, like, you're imagining, probably. Like, it's just sort of like a bunch of, like, fabricators and artists part-time. They have a robot. They're working on another one. I'll talk more about that later. But it's not like a real company that, like, builds and sells robots. Like, I don't know if they've actually ever even sold one robot. I don't know. I would guess they have not, but who knows?
Thanks, Mike. I'll be connecting with both teams throughout the duel to get their strategy, seeing how they're feeling. Emotions are high down here, and it is tense, but there's also a huge level of excitement. I mean, this is a culmination of years of dedication and hard work. It is going to be a dope battle. We'll see you soon.
I've been playing giant fighting robot games since I was a kid. This has been the dream since middle school. Like, making that science fiction come to life.
This is all basically true.
Possible, but, like, here we are.
How do we know this video isn't also scripted? Because I'm reading your comment right now. By the way, Karata-san, so this guy on screen right here, this is Karata-san. He's kind of like the head of Shirabashi, and I guess if you would pick someone to be like the creator of the robot, it would be this guy. Dude's a super cool guy. I have, like, mad respect for this guy. I think his robot is, like, super awesome. I think the aesthetics are really, really great. And I really respect his decisions about, like, how to make this thing look good. I think one of the big problems was just, like, the two companies were just, like, had very different goals in mind. Like, like Kurata-san basically just wanted to make like a really cool YouTube video that people could kind of watch and be like, oh, that's like a cool, almost just like an art piece. Whereas Megabots, like we raised like millions of dollars in venture capital. We were like promising people $1 billion sports league, like all this kind of stuff. And so we had a ton of resources at our disposal, but we also like made huge promises. And so we wanted to be a lot more, like we wanted to move a lot faster and be a lot more reckless, whereas Kurata-san wanted to be a little bit more considered. And I think those two things kind of like colliding together caused this to, like a lot of these problems to happen. And we'll talk more about that. But like mad respect for this guy. Like I don't really fault him for any of the negotiations.
We really wanted our first fight to be huge, so
Megabots, when is your next robot battle coming? I don't know. Probably, I don't know. Maybe never. I don't know.
You have a giant robot. You know it needs to happen. We challenge you to a duel.
そう作った時から戦いたいなと思ってたんだよね。いきなりアメリカから来ちゃったから、まあしょうがねえやるかみたいな感じです。
Okay, so a little bit about how the challenge, like how we actually organized the challenge. At some point the company we like built our first robot, Iron Glory, and a lot of the initial capital, a lot of the initial money we made, the revenue came from Autodesk, where they basically like paid for a large portion of the robot, and we came to this like kind of like DIY and science fair called Maker Faire in San Mateo, California, and Autodesk was like, yeah, build your like giant robot and like bring it to Maker Faire, and like we'll bring it to the Autodesk booth, and like it'll just be this like really good PR story where we can tell people like, here's like Autodesk is like actual, like it's an actual software you could use to like build giant fighting robots, and we made some like marketing videos with them, and it was awesome. And yeah, some people are commenting. Yeah, this is on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch right now. Oh, and Periscope. Yeah, so we finished the robot, we brought it to Maker Faire, Autodesk was happy, but then we just like, we didn't have a next step. We kind of like ran out of money. We're like, what do we do? And we were actually going back and forth from like, we were all in the Bay Area, San Francisco. We were like flying back and forth from LA, and we were talking to like all these like movie studios and production companies and like all that kind of stuff. We were trying to do like a reality TV show. We were just like pitching every like producer we could find. We talked to like Legendary Pictures and like Disney and like all these people, but basically nobody could like give us a contract. And so we wanted to create urgency, basically make them feel like, oh yeah, the ship's kind of sailing, like we're gonna do the sports league or whatever. And so we made the challenge video, and actually we filmed it. We made like a rough cut, and we filmed it. We sent it to Tsudabashi beforehand. Actually, did we send the video to them or not? We for sure sent them an email that was basically like, hi, we're the Megabots guys. Like we like built this giant robot thing, and we want to have a robot fight. I can't remember if we sent them a rough cut of the video or not. We may have not. I don't remember. But it was something like, here's our plan. We want to do this. If we challenge you on YouTube, would you accept? And it was really funny because at the time they were like, we don't know who you are. And like nobody really knew who we were. Like Tsudabashi was like a much more well-known company. And they were like, we'll maybe accept if it gets more than like 20,000 views, which is really funny because it ended up getting like 5 million views. Yeah, so beforehand we had sort of orchestrated the like challenge and acceptance thing before it even launched. We didn't really work out any of the details of the fight, which is kind of goofy. That was a mistake.
The ante to hand-to-hand combat, we realized we actually needed a whole new robot.
We solved this the American way. We built a heavier, bigger, more powerful, and way louder machine to beat the snot out of the opposition. That's what we're here to do. That's what everybody's here to see.
There's a huge amount of people who want to see this happen, and to give it to them in their lifetime is insane.
Two years ago, Megabots challenged Sutabashi to a giant robot duel featuring Iron Glory. Sutabashi accepted the challenge, but on one condition. He wanted to fight hand-to-hand combat. So, after years of research and development, Eagle Prime was designed specifically to go hand-to-hand against Karates. Sutabashi came back and said, wait, I still want to fight Iron Glory. So we will feature not one, but two duels. Sutabashi's Karates will fight twice tonight against two different Megabots.
Okay, so I want to comment on something that our fight caller, Mike Goldberg, just said. Sutabashi brought two robots to the duel. The entire plan beforehand, when we were like negotiating this thing, was like, the big surprise was supposed to be that like both team brings two robots to the duel, not one robot to the duel. So like the big surprise was like, you actually get two robot duels, not one robot duel. And it was supposed to be this like amazing thing that like blows everybody's minds or whatever. And they're like, oh my God, it's like an extra robot. They did build another robot. I have pictures of it on my phone. I am not, out of respect for them, like I'm not going to show you guys pictures of it just because like it's probably bad enough that I'm revealing they have a second robot before they have a chance to announce it. But I'm not going to like reveal it or whatever and ruin it for them. But they brought a second robot. It's much smaller than the Kratos robot. And when they showed up with it and we're like, okay, like how's this going to work? They were like, yeah, we just don't want to fight with a small robot because if it has to fight Eagle Prime, like Eagle Prime's this like massive robot, it's going to look just really goofy. Like Eagle Prime's like so much bigger than it. It's just not going to work. And so they basically like, they're like, yeah, that robot over there, like we're not going to fight with it. And we were like, what? What do you mean? And they're like, yeah, if you do this fight, we're only using one robot. Otherwise we're walking. We're just going to like grab our trucks and we're just going to drive away. At this point, we had already spent like probably $180,000 shipping our robots to Japan. And I think the total cost of like we bankrolled the whole thing. Like the production to film this all, we probably spent like $600,000. And so we were basically into the duel at this point for like $800,000. So we're like at the warehouse in Japan. We've already spent like $800,000 or like booked $800,000 in expenses. And then they're just like, yeah, we're only gonna fight with one robot. Now the thing is, like, they might be right. It might have, I don't know if I want to like argue that it may have looked really stupid to use their second robot. It was much smaller. Like, my frustration is that nobody at Megabots ever got the chance to explain to you guys like why it seemed unfair. Because like we got so many comments from people who were like, it took America like 2 robots to beat Japan, so it really looks like Japan's the winner here. When in reality, we both bought 2 robots, but Japan just refused to fight with one of them. So that's how that happened. And somehow like somehow Megabots end up looking like the bad guys. Like, I don't know, whatever. Okay.
All right, here's how you win. Knock down your opponent, disable their robot, and if for any reason their pilot taps out, you take the match. Let's check back in with Mari, who's with Team Megabots.
Now, you guys are about to engage in the first ever giant robot duel. How are you feeling?
A lot has led up to this moment. We're really happy to be here, and I cannot wait to finally get these robots to start pummeling each other. I'm really pumped.
Nice. Now let's talk about game plan. What is your strategy going in?
Shoot the big guns as quickly as possible. That's the name of the game here. These things are, the paint cannonballs do a ton of damage. I'm going to stay light on the joysticks and just try to unload as quickly as possible.
Nice. Now looking at the Karatas robot, do you see a weakness in its build?
Yeah, I would say everything.
Ooh, those be fighting words. Anything else you want to add?
I would just like to thank our fans who've been following us for 3 years now, and for the Iron Glory, our sponsors Autodesk, Fusion 360, A360, and for Parker Hannafin for bringing us out here.
Good luck to you guys.
A lot of these interviews, like, I don't know, they like kind of make me cringe a lot, just because like we had to create like a high energy when we're like on camera to make it like feel like we're like truly like athletes like doing this whole thing. But it was all like pretty planned, and like Guy and I are engineers, like everybody on the team is like an engineer. We're not actors. Like we're trying to sound like, I don't know, super pumped and genuine, like we're about to go like box somebody. But I don't know. Some of these interviews just turned out so goofy that I just cringe when I watch them. But
Matt Orline and Guy Cavalcante say that Iron Glory embraces a Western style of fighting. Big guns, brute force, heavy steel, and designed for the highlight reel knockout.
I mean, right, just look at those cannons. That right arm can shoot a 3-pound paint cannonball at 130 miles per hour. They have to shoot fast and ask questions later.
Karatas, Japan's first giant robot, mirrors the Eastern style of combat designed to take down a much larger opponent, utilizing speed, agility, and hand-to-hand combat capabilities.
Karatas definitely has the advantage of speed, and pair that with his half-ton fist, and I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that punch.
All right, let's check back in with Mari, who's with Team Tsurubashi.
メガボッツのチームはクラタスの弱点は全てだって何か言い返すことありますか？
その自信の根拠がちょっと分かんないですね。だってうち日本のロボットですよ。勝てるわけないじゃん。
そうですよね。なら今日はドキドキしますか？
メガボッツと戦うことがドキドキするというよりも、このロボットに乗って初めて戦うってことがちょっとドキドキはしてます。
なら最後にメガボッツのチームに何か言いたいことありますか？
多分あっさり倒されると思うからシートベルトしっかり締めて。
おお、もう。
Also, I just want to say, like, Mari was like super awesome. Mari Takahashi, she's from Smosh Games. We met her. Smosh Games came out to like do a bit on Megabots way back in the early days. But she was just like a perfect fit to do this because she's like super high energy on camera, and she speaks English and Japanese. And just like, I don't know, shout out to her. She was just like the best person like we could possibly find to like do this, and just like, yeah. Super great to work with.
大変楽しみにしてます。
ありがとうございます。
It's time for duel number 1. Iron Glory versus Karatas. Let's beat the box. Our tale of the tech. Iron Glory, 15 feet tall when standing, weighs 6 tons, powered by a 24 horsepower engine. It's loaded with cannon ammunition and a missile launcher. Karatas weighed 4 tons initially. It's been upgraded to 6.5 tons. Most significantly, the addition of a half-ton punching arm. Powered by an 87 horsepower engine, it reaches a top speed of 18 miles per hour. And now we go down to the battlefield. On one side, Team USA, Megabots Incorporated with Iron Glory. On the other side, we have Team Japan, Tsurubashi Heavy Industry with Karatas. We are set for this historic first ever battle between 2 giant fighting robots. Science fiction comes to life. Karatas, Iron Glory, here we go. It looks like Iron Glory is standing up, while Karadas proceeds forward relentlessly. He wants to close the distance as quickly as possible. Look at that left arm come on. They're looking for the highlight reel knockout.
Closing in. And got him.
Firing! Karadas utilizing his speed advantage. And it's...
Okay, so this scene needs a lot of discussion. So we planned, this fight was basically planned like a WWE match. So and there was so much negotiation that happened because like way early on, we're like planning this. We're like, how are we actually going to do this fight? We like 3D printed, actually Tsutobashi 3D printed like models of the robots. And we're like, how do they how do they actually like, you know, run into each other, interact with each other? And it just became obvious, like Iron Glory for sure, and Karadas, the Karadas robot to some extent, like doesn't have enough like agility to like make satisfying interactions. And so we were like, well, I think it was their suggestion at first. They were like, we just want to have the first round. Like Iron Glory is just like slow and crappy. So like, let's just get rid of it. Like, let's just do that fight super quick. We'll just like run at it. We'll just punch it over and like, it'll just go down super fast. And then like, you guys can like win the second fight because clearly it makes sense that like Eagle Prime is like, it's like so much more capable than like any other. It's a way heavier. It's way more powerful. Like, it just doesn't make sense that like, I don't know, it would lose. It would just sort of be like a joke. So from a high level, it was like, yeah, this robot's going to win this fight. This robot's going to win this fight. And sort of like the stages of it were pretty planned out. We didn't know like what it was actually going to look like when it. So like what I mean by it's sort of like a WWE match is that like the damage is all real to the robots. Like they're actually like hitting each other, and we really had no idea, for example, when like Eagle Prime was going to like fire up its chainsaw and like start slashing at where is it going to land? Like, I don't know. We had no idea. And like when we start ramming it with like the cannon, like we had like no idea, like would the robots like shut off? Would they not? Like, we don't know. So a lot of the like details of like how the damage actually happens and like what happens when the chainsaw actually, like we didn't really know. We were just like, okay, at this point in the fight, the two robots will be together, and then like let's just start hitting each other and see what happens. Like that component of it was real. But like from a high level, we had decided like this robot's gonna fall over. The other, so like there's the one big like reveal, like I don't know, confession to make. To me, the most painful confession to make, honestly, in this entire like video is that we were not actually in Iron Glory when it fell over because we like thought we would get a concussion. So in an earlier YouTube video, we showed like this was like way earlier in the first season. Yeah, people are reacting sadly. Way back in the first season, like we put a dummy in one of the robots and we knocked it over and we measured like what would happen to somebody if they fell over this thing, and like there was a significant chance that they would get a concussion, and so we were like, we have no idea, like are we just gonna like be in this robot and get a concussion, like, and so let's see if I can pause it at the right moment. When the robot falls, so first of all, we like put this tinting on Iron Glory. You can see you can't like see into the cockpit. We didn't like that tinting was there only like one day ahead of time before the duel. So let's see if I can get on the right frame. Okay, so right here, this shot was taken, I know this is like just like sad and embarrassing or whatever, but I feel like I can finally like tell everybody this, and it feels good to get this off my back. This shot we got by the robot was like already on the ground, and we took a forklift and like, so the robot's like laying on the ground, and we took a forklift and we like lifted it up like just a little bit, and then Guy and I like crawled inside the robots, and then like the forklift just backs up, right? So like the forklift backs up, and it like boom, it like crashes back down. So the cameras were inside, and it gave us like a little bit of a shot where it's like, yeah, we're like actually really getting jostled around inside there, and like it was still kind of like a not like painful, but like it was a shock and very, very uncomfortable. And so we were able to get that kind of like weird little jostling shot. Oh man, now it reset the video. Okay, let's go back to where we were.
Possible. Look at that left arm come on. Looking for the highlight reel knockout.
Closing in. And you got him. Firing.
Karatis utilizing his speed advantage. And it's
Yeah, so this was
just like that.
That was totally fake.
Here comes the Megabots crew. Let's hope Matt and Guy are okay. Guy is out of the cockpit. This was a stunning defeat for Team Megabots. Matt seems to be fine as well.
Give him air. I'm like shaking right now. Okay. Yep.
So we didn't have to, like, we didn't really have to fake our reaction. Like, here, it really did suck to, like, even just get dropped by the forklift. And that coupled with the fact that it was, like, 80-some degrees in Japan and super humid. You can even tell in that, like, little jostling shot, like, Guy's visor is completely fogged over because it was just, like, so hot and uncomfortable. And we're, like, breathing on those masks. And, like, you couldn't even see out of them. So yeah, our reactions coming out, like, it sucked for that to happen, but we were not in the robot when it fell over.
もうなんかもう手ちょっと震えちゃって。
もう中に入ってる時、クラタスと心合体した感じしました？
いやもうそれどころじゃなかったね。もうよくわかんないからとりあえずまっすぐ行って殴るんだって思ったんだけど。
まあ次はイーグルプライムです。タクティクス変わりますか？
今回多分倍になってくるから。
Also, Karada-san was not in the robot pretty much for any of this.
だからちょっとまあ作戦はちょっと言えないで。
わかりました。まあこのバトルでは感動しましたよ。
ありがとうございます。
頑張ってください。
Let's check out the Duel 1 replay.
It looks like Iron Glory's cannonball actually broke in the barrel. It had no effect on Karada's. Matt was trying to aim two guns simultaneously. Looks like he couldn't line up the missile launcher in time.
Whether or not that cannonball hit, Karatis was just coming in way too fast.
And given how much momentum Karatis had, that...
So we actually didn't know if Karatis would be able to knock Iron Glory over. And so what you're not seeing here is that we actually had a... This is like so ridiculous. We had a forklift with a big steel cable attached to Iron Glory. And then like... we like spliced a shot. I can't, like, basically when like Karatis, I actually don't think we spliced a shot, but when Karatis like ran at Iron Glory, the forklift also backed up, and so we were actually like pulling back on it with a big cable, just to like make sure it would actually fall over because we had only one chance to get this shot, and so yeah, there's like a giant cable that's pulling on Iron Glory right now, but we photoshopped it out of every single frame in every video.
destined to knock Iron
And
Glory
so,
All right, back to Mari, who's
yeah,
Team
so you
Megabot.
just don't see it. There's probably like a little bit of blurriness if you like look really closely.
You guys, that was insane. Are you?
This is a super cringy interview,
Was pretty tough.
and I just feel terrible for this, but that's reality.
Grab my.
I guess I should say that like the point of this is like, why is he exposing this? Because Marcus on YouTube says, why is he exposing this? Because really I have no reason to keep this hidden anymore. The NDA is now expired and I can like say whatever I want and whatever. The point of this was like the goal of the giant robot duel was not actually to like have the very first like real giant robot fight. It was mostly to like show people what giant fighting robot, like what a giant fighting robot sports league could become, right? This is basically supposed to be like a teaser reel. It's supposed to be like a teaser reel for like what we were trying to build, like what the bigger sports league could look like. That was sort of like one of the points where like Tsudabashi and Megabots like didn't really agree on, is because like what they thought they were getting into was just like, we're going to make a cool YouTube video, it's going to be fun, like whatever. And then what we wanted was like, it's just the start of this like big giant fighting robot sports league. And so we just had like way different expectations and ambitions, and it just like caused a lot of conflict. And like, again, I like do not blame them for any of the, you know, points at which they sort of dug their heels in or made things difficult for us. I think they like pretty much always had valid points for their arguments. It's just that like we were both looking for different things, and that's what made a lot of conflict.
I mean, it has so many upgrades. It can fire 6 times the cannonballs. It has modular weapons and software upgrades.
All right, tell me about these software upgrades and what we can expect to see.
If you think about it like robot anatomy, Iron Glory had to manually control every muscle. So 1, 2, 3, it's a little bit slow.
Right.
Eagle Prime, however, can actually have coordinated joint movements. And they have 8 pre-programmed moves, so all Matt has to do is push a button and it will do an uppercut.
The Americans, Team Megabots, looking to even the score, and we've got the best seat in the house. It's time for duel number 2, Eagle Prime versus Karadas, our tale of the tape. And we focus solely on Eagle Prime. 16 foot tall when standing, weighs 12 tons, twice as heavy as Iron Glory. And you want to talk about an upgrade, it's 18 times more powerful, from 24 to 430 horsepower.
And don't forget, it's bottom heavy. 60% of its weight is in its base.
Karadas, Eagle Prime, here we go. And there's the horn. Karadas moving in, taking cover behind that wall of barrels.
This is the best it's ever felt.
Eagle Prime gets off the first shot, but it looks like it breaks up inside the barrel.
Okay, so I want to comment on the paintball stuff. I know the paintballs look super lame. So like way back when we started the company, we had no good answers as to like how the robots could fight. It could be destructive and it could still be safe, and like people inside. I think like the first instantiation of what it could be was like, we're gonna build these big robots, they're gonna have paintball cannons, and then like people will like rent the robots to like have crazy like bachelor parties in the forest somewhere, and they'll have like giant robot paintball fights or whatever. And there would be like sensors on the robots that would like tell when the like paint would hit certain panels, and it would be like a point scoring system and like blah 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 blah. And like you'd have to design all these goofy like sensing armor panels and whatever. So that's kind of how we built Iron Glory, is to sort of like play by those rules. And when we challenged Tsudabashi, they were like, well, the paintball stuff is going to look super lame, so like we got to make it better than that. Like we got to do hand-to-hand combat. I think they were totally right. For like a YouTube video, it's like you got to have something a little more exciting than this like paint cannon. The paint cannons, like they do look super lame. It's super stupid. Like when you shoot a paintball at like a big like robot that has like half-inch steel plate, and it doesn't do anything. It's just kind of like, why did they build this like big crazy strong robot to like shoot paintballs that like don't really do anything. Like, I guess you could like blind the other robot maybe, or like hit the cameras, but it just wouldn't be visually satisfying for the audience to watch. And so like that was what forced the transition over to like hand-to-hand combat. Okay. Back to the
Shot
video.
is effective, exposing Karatas to another attack.
Keep going. I want to close in on him.
Eagle Prime crashes through the barrels.
I bet you they can't even feel that. That robot is 12 tons.
And there's a third shot.
Okay, hit him. I don't know if it's
A lot of these sound effects are just like added in post. That's like one mistake that we like really should have improved, was the audio capture of what was actually happening. Like being in this warehouse during the duel was like, I mean, it was like crazy. These robots are like roaring around and hitting each other. It was like nuts, crazy to watch. But we didn't do a good job recording the audio. And when you like watched the footage and like played it back on a little like iPhone or on a computer screen, you're like, I guess, like, it's pretty cool, but you just don't like, you don't get, like, you don't feel the like metal clanking against each other. So like you lose a lot of it by not being there in person.
don't let it distract you.
They've spotted
The drone
it.
thing-
They're gonna try to knock it out.
Drone thing was like totally scripted.
Contact with it.
It's on. It's stuck on the cockpit.
Look at that. Smoke is pouring out of the drone.
I think it was supposed to be like the drone was supposed to like fly and attach to the cockpit and then start smoking or something like that. But like, I think I hit it by accident, or like I was supposed to like swat at it, but like not get it. I can't remember, but like something didn't happen as it was supposed to there. But like, I don't know. Either way, it was like a pretty like clever, interesting move, little like secret weapon that the Karatas robot had. Like, sure.
See him coming on the monitors. Get me to the car. Let's block him with the car. Block him with the car.
Finding a huge right hook on the top vehicle there. And it comes crashing down.
Nice.
Team Megabots is really taking advantage of the 430 horsepower that they have. That allows Matt and Guy to really control the arena with that arm.
Okay, go around the car a little more. Really clearing it. He's coming for us.
Eagle Prime, Karatas, engage in close combat. A big body shot by Karatas.
That arm.
Keep in mind, that steel fist is 600 pounds. And another body shot. Karatas looking to do damage. Eagle Prime counters with the claw. Oh, firing a big shot. That connects. And another. Eagle Prime targeting the midsection of Karatas. Oh, check this out. Eagle Prime using that cannon as a battering ram, targeting the area on Karatas that has a lot of sensitive electronics.
I don't think he can move.
Eagle Prime continuing to do damage with that cannon. These armor panels are being...
So again, like at this point, we kind of had, we like decided like, okay, the robots are gonna like meet, like, you know, we're gonna do the drone thing, we'll like punch a car over, and then we're gonna meet in the center, and then like we're just gonna start hitting each other at that point. So like we didn't really know like what was gonna happen, or if one robot was gonna shut down, or like how long that would happen, or like would one start on fire? Like we don't know, but it was just kind of like we wanted to make sure that each fight had like some cool visuals to it. And then like there's like some point in the fight where it's like, okay, now that we've got the cool visuals, like the car got hit over, like the paintballs got fired, like, you know, the lighting truss got ripped out, like whatever. We got the cool stuff, and then like once the robots are like locked together, then you can just like, I don't know, just like start hitting each other and like see what happens. So like that's probably like the most unscripted part of these fights, is like when the robots are against each other and they're just sort of like hitting, like we just didn't really know what was gonna happen.
torn off of Karatas. Wait a second.
Engine on.
All right, the robots now appear to be stuck.
All right, we really need to swap this cannon out.
So Karadas and Eagle Prime are basically stuck. In fighting terms, they're stuck in the clinch.
Right, it looks like they hit the E-stop, which immediately shut down both robots.
So now it's time to reset, retool, and continue the duel. All right, let's check back in with Mari, who's with Karadas.
Also, I should note that, like, I don't know, this is kind of calling Tsutobashi out, but their robot could not actually turn. So these like front wheels on the robot, when they wanted the robot to like turn directions and like maneuver in the battlefield, we would have to like turn all the cameras off, and then like a bunch of people would like run out with like crowbars and like physically like move the wheels on the Karadas robot, and then they would like run back offset, and we would like brush over the footprints in the dirt so nobody could like tell that we went into the, you know, dirt. And then like we would go, okay, cameras can start rolling again, and then the robot would be pointed in a slightly different direction and could like roll. It's like it kind of like sucks to admit that, but like the reality is like it's like really hard to even build a robot that can like look that cool and go straight, right? So like I'm not saying it as like I'm slamming their like engineering ability. Like there was tons of stuff that like like Eagle Prime shut down probably like every 30 seconds in these fights. We had like this horrible problem with like the wiring was bad, or like there was like some loose wire or relay wasn't working, or there's like, I don't know. But our robot kept shutting down like all the time. And so we would have to like constantly have to shut the cameras down for our robot too. And so like it just kind of goes to show that like basically neither of these robots were actually at a point where we could have a live audience and like put on a satisfying show. Like there was like no situation in which we could just like roll the cameras and just have the robots fight. Like it would have been like the robots would drive forward, they would probably like hit each other once, and then like one would just like shut off, a wire would get pulled out, and like that would be it. So again, I know I said this before in the video, but like some of you are joining later on. The point was like show people, like create like a commercial for like what the sports league could look like in the future, not necessarily like actually have a real giant robot fight. It's just supposed to be like show people what it could become. This shoot lasted for like, I think we were filming the combat scenes for I think like 4 or 5 days. You'll know it, like if you pay really close attention to the lighting in the warehouse, there's like skylights, and then there's also like windows. And like in this shot, for example, the skylights are all dark, like it's nighttime. And then like in some other scenes in the combat, you'll see that like there's like light coming in. It's like during the day. We tried to do the best we could to kind of like mask that, but like if you pay attention really close, like see now it's day. Yeah.
You can see Karadas' armor took a hell of a beating from the opening shot.
Karadas counters with the distraction technique, utilizing a drone. But that doesn't stop
some of you guys getting frame drops. I can't really do much about that at this point.
Leaving a trail of destruction in the arena. Karadas moved in and delivered a punch of its own, slamming into that front grille of Eagle Prime as the two robots squared off point blank.
A lot of you guys are getting stuttering streams. I'm just going to pause the video for just a little sec to see if maybe it has like a buffering issue, and then I'll start it again.
Eagle Prime using the cannon any way it can to get an advantage. But these robots are locked together and had to be reset. Let's check back in with Mari, who's with Team Megabots.
You guys, how was that?
That is how it's done. You grab them, you beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, you guys had some crazy punches. For all of us who don't get to be in that, what is that like?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. You're getting rocked around. It's kind of a little bit scary as you're kind of...
This interview is actually like pretty legit. It is pretty terrifying to be in the robot when like another robot's hitting it. We genuinely were inside the robot when the Karatas robot was punching, and like, yeah, you are getting like jostled around a bunch. It's not comfortable. It doesn't hurt, but it's like very terrifying because you can't ever feel like when the robot is actually going to catch its balance. So you just like start tipping over and you're just kind of like grabbing onto something, but like you don't know, you can't like find your own footing because like the robot has to find its footing. So it is pretty scary.
I think we need to focus on something that can deal a little more damage up close.
I think it's time for some like good old-fashioned American melee. I think that's where this is going.
There you go. Very excited to see you guys. Good luck.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Both robots are now reset and ready.
All right, let's do this. Get those arms in the air.
Eagle Prime, Karatas, here we go.
All right, moving forward.
Karatas getting into position, turning slightly. And Eagle Prime takes the lead here, knocking over barrels with that powerful chainsaw.
Let's go.
That's a 4-foot, 40...
Some of you guys are asking where the robots are now. Iron Glory was sold to one of our investors in Japan, and it goes around to like festivals and stuff like that and gives kids rides. And Eagle Prime is owned by Prime's owned by a guy who like does monster truck shows. Company is called Straight Up Racing. You can find him on Facebook and Instagram. But he's basically like putting money into it to see if he can get it to a point where it's like reliable enough to perform in front of, 10,000 people. I don't know if he'll get there. He may or he may not. But he's doing things like turning down the system pressure. He's like slowing the robot down. He's like removing a lot of the complexity out of the control system. So like it probably won't be as fast and capable anymore, but it'll be a lot more reliable. And I think it'll still be able to like do some cool stuff. But I don't know if he's going to get it to a point where it can perform. If he doesn't, I don't know. Like maybe I'll buy it back from him or somebody else will, or I don't know. I don't think it's just going to like ever. I don't think it'll just like go away and end up in a junkyard.
Check out Eagle Prime's cameras.
Are those paintballs? What are you thinking? Okay, move over to that light truss. Let's try something.
Okay, the light truss thing, super scripted. Again, we just like wanted at least some parts of the fight to be like, what? Crazy.
Prime has grabbed the lighting truss. It's all coming down, folks. Karatas keeps unloading on Eagle Prime relentlessly.
Oh my god.
I know the stream is getting a little bit crappy. I'm like seeing the bandwidth drop to 0, so I'm just giving it some time to buffer right now.
What? Oh, that's awesome.
Ridiculous. What do you think about this? Nice. Engaging. Grab him.
And Zara, that truss gets tossed to the side. Eagle Prime approaches Karatas, and now it appears a shoving match is taking place.
I got his arm. I got his hand. That thing got bent up.
That chainsaw is now activated.
So like that chainsaw, we weren't supposed to like destroy their gun with it. That was like totally like I didn't even know I was doing that because I was like super focused on grabbing their arm with the logging grapple on one hand, and like my other hand, so my hands are both on the joysticks. So I'm totally focused on the logging grapple, and the chainsaw thing, I was like, I don't even think I was looking at it. I just basically like held it in the on position and sort of like waved it around because I was like totally focused on just getting the claw in the right spot. And so like a lot of that chainsaw damage was just like, I think they were like pretty upset with us for doing that.
Oh my God, they're coming our way. What are you worried about? You're the robotics expert.
That's why I'm scared. I think
This part's pretty cringy,
Get the finish right here.
in my opinion, but
getting close, man.
I think the concept is cool. Like the fight breaks out of the arena. But again, like the acting here is like a little. None of these guys are actors.
I have never seen anything like this. The chainsaw's still eating away at Karadas' shoulder. And we have a winner. Team Megabots, Eagle Prime.
That's how it's done, baby!
You know, it's really amazing, the turn of events that has happened here. Karadas came out so strong in that first fight, toppling Iron Glory almost immediately. But then the momentum shifted to Team Megabots. Eagle Prime went on the aggressive, utilized that chainsaw for an outstanding finish. Here comes Karada-san. Great sportsmanship. Big smiles all around, a true class act. History has been made.
Two worthy opponents in the first ever giant robot duel. USA versus Japan. Team Megabots, how are you feeling?
Pretty good, pretty good. Obviously things went pretty well for us there. We've got an awesome team. I wanted to thank everybody who helped put this together. It's crazy.
It was just an amazing experience. Both fights, I think, were just out of this world. It's what we've been waiting for. This is it.
And Kurata-san, 一言.
すっげえ楽しかった
What does the future hold?
I think it's time to make this a sports league. I think it's time to get some rules, some weight classes, bring this show on the road. Let's do it. Good fight. Worth it.
Thank you, thank you.
A lot of this excitement is like very genuine because we were just so happy that it was over and we got some footage that works.
Said and done, Eagle Prime wins the gold at this first ever giant robot fight. For Sara Nadiri and Mari Takahashi, this is Mike Goldberg saying so long from the steel mill in Japan.
So anyways, yeah, I mean, I guess like the big message that I want to convey, and I know like the streaming and the buffering is like terrible. I'm hoping that on YouTube you can kind of like go back and rewatch as the stream catches up. But now that I'm not playing the video, it's probably much better. The point of the giant robot duel from like Megabot's perspective was like, we were just trying to show people what a robot fight could look like. Because the reality is, like, the robots were not at the point technologically where we could have like a real fight as people imagined it. Most people thought this was going to be like a Transformers battle, like watching a Transformers movie, and it was just like clearly clearly not that. Like, there's just like no way we could achieve that. And so, you know, we basically had to like fake I don't know, a large portion of it to like give people that sense of what it could be like. I think one of the big problems with the company was that like we never decided like is this company WWE or is it UFC? You know, like, is it like basically just like semi-scripted like a live action soap opera that's ridiculous and entertaining, or is it like a real sport with real like rules and like people are actually competing to win and like not just like playing out some storyline? And I think that like we never really knew like is the technology there enough to do the UFC, or like should it just be more of like a WWE thing? And I think one of our biggest problems was that we never actually like when we got to this duel, we never actually like picked a direction one way or another. We were never like, okay, let's just make it so ridiculous that it's clearly super scripted, and you know, like if I like opened the cockpit and like climbed on the other robot and like ripped open like, you know, Karada-san's robot, you know, like started punching like in through or something like super ridiculous like that. Like someone like pulls a sword out or, you know, something really, really ridiculous to make it like clear that this is like ridiculous and over the top, I think probably would have been better than just kind of like wavering on the line of like, oh, here's the rules and like this is a real contest, but then like doing some things that are like very WWE-ish, but then like, you know, some things were not. So I think that was maybe like one of the big mistakes of the company. If I had to do it all over again, I think I would do it more WWE style. I think at like the scale the robots are and the cost of the technology, like the like UFC style, like real fighting is like not quite there yet. If I had to guess, I do think somebody's gonna figure out like giant robots as live entertainment. I think somebody's going to figure it out because like it's clear that like there's like a huge amount of demand for it. People think it's a great idea. Like anytime I talk to people about it, whatever, you know, like when they hear about it, they're like, that sounds amazing. I would totally watch that. I could totally picture it. I just think like if I had to guess, it would probably start out, I think, as just like it's like going to see the circus. You'd have like 4 robots. There'd just be like a pre-scripted show that like the robots are all like programmed to play the shows. And, you know, it's just a play, basically. I think that would be like the first like viable business that has giant robots. I think that would be like the starting point. That's just like my guess. I don't really know. But yeah, if I did it all over again, I would definitely just like do way more WWE style, but probably won't get a second chance. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what will happen? Let's see. Do I have any last announcements before I sign up? I guess I should plug the merch again. 50% off. I don't know how long this coupon will be active, but I gotta get rid of all this stuff. So like, please just buy it. It's super cheap. I don't know. I'll like literally put it into a bag tomorrow if you send an order in. I've got stickers. We do have we have like 13 of the like 3D printed figurines that we sold in the Kickstarter. I think there's like 13 left. Those I'm not discounting. They're like ridiculously expensive to make. So those are like $99. There's only 13 left. I don't know. I think they cost us like $60 each just to order. And that was in quantities of like, we ordered like 1,000 of them. Let's see. What is the Japanese Megabop thing they bring their bot to? The Megabop thing? I don't know what the Megabop thing. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I wanted to do this video before the next video. I'll do the like digging through the financials of Megabots. I think find that super, super interesting. Like, where did all the money actually go? I may do that as a live stream. Not sure if that'll be a pre-recorded video, but thank you all for joining, and yeah, hope you all stay safe. And I don't know how long this quarantine thing is going to last. Like, this is like super nuts. I don't know. Like, am I just going to be here for months? Like, maybe. But yeah, cheers everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.